So there is some distraction. Why don't you tell them to mute all the audio and video? Otherwise, it cannot go on. Now, I must say, it's a privilege, a rare privilege, and honor as well for me to share my considered thoughts or views on this subject, which is relevant for everyone in every part of the globe. As Dr. Pati pointed out rightly, there is no aspect of human existence which is not threatened by an invisible virus called corona. Now this pandemic, global pandemic, which is, please mute your audio and video, otherwise it cannot go on. Convener, please tell the participants to mute their audio and video. One will speak, others will listen. If everyone speaks, then no one can listen. The purpose of seminar gets defeated. All our friends and they are all very sensible people, and so if by mistake it is unmuted, please mute it, because we get distracted from the main discourse. Okay, now as Dr. Pati has already hinted and prepared a backdrop for the discussion, we must acknowledge that here is a crisis which is global, not local, not regional, but global. In the sense that not only the people of the entire globe have been affected, have been affected, but also every aspect of human pursuit. Every aspect of human pursuits are at stake. And this crisis, if you look at the history of human civilization, the crisis of this dimension has never occurred. Has never occurred. Well, a person who lives in a village gets threatened. Now, given this, why this resounding? Given this situation, we find a wake-up call. This is a wake-up call because the humanity has to pause and reflect. What has gone wrong? Why there is resounding? Could anyone, can you just do something about it? Otherwise, I get unreasonably disturbed. I say something again. It is a tell them to correct the. Otherwise, we cannot go on. No? It's an unusual distraction. There should not be any distraction in June. If provided everyone mutes the audio and video, okay, so that will prepare the room for a good discussion among the participants at the end of the address or the presentation. Now, all that I have been trying to bring home is this. This is a crisis of an unprecedented kind because it's a global crisis. What has happened? Let us try to understand what the crisis is about. The crisis is multi-dimensional. Religious activities, our social interactions, everything has been brought to a grinding halt. The temples are there, but people are forbidden from entering the premises of the temple. Educational institutions with large mass of army of teachers and students, they have been staying indoors for the last 3 months. Even in a social sphere, you cannot even do the handshake. You cannot give an intimate hug or an endearing hug to your friend. As you know, that man is a social animal. It is said man is gregarious by nature. Gregarious means he has an instinct to live together. Even if you give man everything, all the amenities in the jail, and if you ask him to stay alone, then he feel monotonous. So man has a tendency to live in society, to live together. Now this instinct of living together has been at stake because of the pandemic, because of the coronavirus, threat of the coronavirus. Similarly, the economic sphere, as Dr. Pati hinted at very synoptically, you see, we are privileged because whether we work or not, we get our salary. There are many like us, not many, but few like us. But what about the people who are earning their livelihood by doing some small business on the roadside, selling something? Does anyone think of them? Doling out some rice, and it's not going to help. Because what about the economy day after tomorrow? We do not know what are the state of affairs that is going to prevail day after tomorrow. We cannot think beyond tomorrow. The rate with which the pandemic is extending its tentacles is really something which human mind cannot figure out. No one can say what will be the state of affair, what is the state of economy, what is the state of your religious activity. Things are unpredictable. So first of all, we have to acknowledge the crisis. Second is, we have to understand the nature of the crisis. Crisis is multidimensional. It has economic dimension, it has religious dimension, it has political dimension, it has social dimension, it has educational dimension, and it has ethical dimension as well. And today we have been asked, and we are discussing on the ethical dimension of the global crisis. One thing I should, just mention and would like to underline is this: that the crisis that man has faced today, though it is unprecedented in respect of the nature and dimension or magnitude, but the crisis have been always there with human beings. Human beings, right from the very inception of human civilization, encounter crisis. What about if you go by scientific account, the universe was created at a point of time 15 billion years ago, and human beings came of late. And human civilization is still in a nascent stage. You go back 10,000 years in time, you find there is no religion. Our ancestors roaming on the quest of food and secured shelter. Man was a food gatherer. So that was the state of affair. If you go back 10,000 years or 15,000 years, there are no Upanishads. Before 5,000 years, friends, there was no religion. Except you say that the Vedas were there, so Hinduism was there. Go back again 7,000 years. Rig Veda was written 7,000 years back. Go back 10,000 years in time, even Rig Veda was not there, because the Aryans did not come to Bharat for settlement. So 10,000 years back, there is no religion, because Buddhism came with Lord Buddha in 500 BC. Jainism, the oldest religion we can say. And Christianity was born at 111 with the birth of Christ. Similarly, Islam, similarly Baha'i, similarly Sikhism, no religion was there. So what was the state of that time? Man, it was a struggle for existence. And as Darwin says, there was a struggle, there was a struggle, and there was survival of the fittest. Any animal or any species which could adapt itself to the changing conditions of the nature could survive. That is why the mammoth animals went out of existence. The survival of the fittest. And man's life was vegetative because he could not think of anything except his bare survival and food. Now in say 7,000, 10,000 years, where do we stand? We are. Now at that point of time, people living in one clan in one hilltop did not know who is living in the other hilltop. A time came when man discovered the whole earth. And not only that, it has the technology that are poised in the zero gravity point. Man is thinking in terms of migrating to other planets. Perchance this planet is unfit for human habitation. So that is the state of technology, that is the state of height of science that man has cultivated. So it has been a long way, but within a short span of time. Against a big compass of time, 10,000 years is not very long. It is said that the earth was destroyed 5 times, complete destruction. And the last time it was extinguished or there was complete extinction is 5 lakh years back. If this is the history of the planet, and if this is the history of human mind and human science and technology, we have to address as to why things have come to such a pass that despite the scientific knowledge and technological know-how, despite the scientific knowledge and technological know-how, because science gives knowledge and technology gives us know-how, we are threatened by a virus which is invisible to human eyes. A virus which has its origin in Wuhan has spread across the continent and geographical boundaries. So this is a matter for introspection. We have to pause. That's why I said this wake-up call. We have to pause and reflect as to how things could come to such a pass. That everyone is affected. Not only that, the existence of every human being is at stake, is threatened. Now, if this is so, we know that it is a global crisis, unlike our primitives who had faced crisis from outer nature. Another important thing, our primitive or the ancient people or the predecessors, they experienced a threat from outside. They had to live on the treetops or in the caves of fear of ferocious animals. They were threatened by wildfire. If there is fire, then they went at. So that destroys their food stocks. Because man was a food gatherer. Wildfire. Uncertain weather. Now we know when the cyclone is going to come, and we take precautions, evacuating people from the low-lying areas. We have the system of meteorological predictions. We understand that after 36 hours, a tornado or a cyclone is heading towards Odisha. So accordingly, the government takes. So that was not the time. That is why man was worshipping nature with awe and wonder. He was worshipping nature with reverence. Because man was thinking, because science and technology were not there, the primitive, the innocent mind thought that unless nature graces us, or nature is hospitable, nature is merciful, then we cannot live. So to secure the mercy of nature, man started worshipping nature, the god of rain, god of fire, what not. So man looked at nature with a worshipful reverence. Gradually, when there was expansion of human mind, then man began to discover the secrets of nature, the workings of nature. Man began to unveil the ways in which nature functions or operates. That gave birth to science and technology. The more and more man discovered or unraveled the secrets of nature, the more and more man began to conquer nature. It's as simple as that. The moment you know how the cause and effect, there is a cause-effect dynamics, by controlling the cause, you control the effect. Now the scientists are thinking in terms of making the rain fall by creating artificial pressure. That is the state, that is the height we have scaled or we have achieved. Now, how this came about? Let us look in retrospect. Let's try to understand how the pace of development could be so fast that we are trying to reserve land on the surface of Mars. The Earth has become very small because the satellite, it makes 10 times, it moves around that. In the Hubble telescope, they are able to discover a storm in Saturn. They are discovering new, galaxies every day. Even then, man's understanding of the universe is so scanty. Since we have not traveled across the universe, how do you know how big it is? If I'm inside the house all the while, confined in the house, how do I know how big is the house unless I go out and look at it from vantage point? We have not gone beyond the solar system. We are trying to make an attempt to land on Mars. Yes, things we see from a distance, but unless and until you go across the universe, how do you know how big it is? Now, given this, let us try to understand how the crisis was brought about. In other words, let us diagnose the crisis. If it is a global malaise, if it is something which affects the whole universe, whole world, people of the entire world that live in an island or the downtown of Newark, how this has come up? If you go to a doctor and you say you have some complaints, physical complaints, then the doctor, a good doctor, will ask you a plethora of questions, ask you to do many tests because he wants to diagnose, he wants to find the genesis or the source of the disease. If he is sanguine that it is due to some cough and cold, some tablets would do. But if you are complaining of headache because of some trouble in the nervous system, then you need a surgery. If you are suffering because headache is caused by typhoid, you need appropriate medicine. So diagnosis precedes cure. If you want to find a cure of the disease, you have to diagnose. Similarly, the global malaise or disease needs to be diagnosed. What is the source of it? How this came about? How come that despite your laser-guided bombs, despite the black box, where you put this, but press the button and 5,000 kilometers away, a city is aflame. You don't see the horrors of destruction. Nonetheless, you just press the black button. That is the state of, that is the enormity of power that man possesses. Down in the space station can correct without any direct intervention. That is the state of achievement, excellence that man has attained. Now, how this has come about? And so, once you know how this has come about, the crisis has come about, then you understand why it has come about. Then you try to find a cure for it. It's as simple as that. If my high temperature is diagnosed for malaria, then I test, then quinine would do. Quinine drips would do, I will be cured. Now, if you just look back, you find the man who was a food gatherer became food producer, and man, the excellence that we claim to have, that we boast of or brag of, is due to a developed mind which man has, unlike others. In the evolutionary march, man has outrun others because of the privileged position called a developed mind. Animals have a mind, but man has a mind which is more pronounced, more developed. And because of the developed mind, man can ask questions: why, what, and how. Man doesn't take things for granted. If there is thunder, if there is lightning, if there is an earthquake, man will try to know why earthquake. Once you know the cause of earthquake, then you have seismograph. You can cause, or you can anticipate, or you can whatever. So it has all that goes in the name of science and technology is due to the possession of a developed mind. We call it manaba because it is a manapradhan. That means mind is dominant. Even if I am hungry, I may not take food if it is my fasting day. But the animal cannot, because animal mind is controlled and regulated by the instinct. If it feels hungry, there is food to take. But I may not take food if it's a fasting day, even if I'm hungry, even if there is food, I don't take, I prefer not to take. That is human possibility. So the fact remains that it is because of the developed mind that man could create philosophy, science, and religion. And mostly, it is science which gave man more and more knowledge. Back on, there is a philosopher who says knowledge is power. Once you know the cause of a disease, you can control a disease, you can find an antidote against the disease. You can find a remedy against the malady. Now the scientists across the world are trying to find antidote against pandemic or this corona, but they are not successful because they do not know what is the exact cause. The day they decipher the exact cause, the reasons or the factors that give rise to or lead to the spread of coronavirus, it will be under control. So the more and more you know about the workings of nature, the secrets of nature, the secrets of nature, more and more you are empowered to control nature. More and more you are empowered to control nature. Bacon says, question nature, interrogate nature, snatch away the secrets of nature, because that will empower you. So man in 21st century is greatly, enormously empowered. Man has not only found antidote against many diseases which are otherwise incurable, but man is in a position to go across the planet, one part of it, in 15 hours. From Delhi to New York, it takes 15 hours. The other part of the globe, where there's a bit died now. So space and time have been conquered. Look at the mobile phone yourself. With no apparent connectivity, you press the numbers and you go anywhere you like of a choice. What a great, feat of technology. Now the question is, despite that, why this has happened? The reason is very simple. Now, the more and more man wanted to conquer nature, control nature, harness nature to his convenience, the more and more man mistakenly or wrongly began to think that he is the end and everything is a means. He is the choicest creation on this planet. There are many religions which accord sanction to this view that man is the choicest creation. Fact remains that man is the most evolved creation. There's no doubt on this planet. Difficult to say whether there are more developed creatures on other planets or not, but on this planet, man is the most evolved creature. But most evolved creature, that he is the most evolved creature, make him think that he will live at the cost of others. Everything is for him. Let us take an example. In a joint family, a person is highly qualified, gets a good job, whereas the brothers and sisters, the old parents don't work. Should we think that everyone is for my comfort, or he sacrifices his comfort, his money, everything, parks his money for the education of younger children? Because one who is more efficient, more enabled, he, on account of that, he bears the responsibility or onus of supporting others. On account of being more educated and more, earning more, he has that bounden duty of supporting the old ailing parents and youngsters who are studying. Similarly, man should not have thought that everything, yes, you are more developed. So that should give you added responsibility of looking at others with a sense of, as a mentor, as a steward, as a protector, with a loving concern. But instead of that, there is a sense of arrogance and egotism, I feeling that I, a man, is the end, everything is for man. We are trying to diagnose the crisis. What did man do? Destroyed forest. Destroyed forest cover. Indiscriminate felling of trees. Why? Because you need a good furniture in your house. Polluted the river. Industrialization, mindless industrialization polluted the air. So today we stand in a time when, though the 2/3 of the planet is filled with water, man suffers from the dearth of drinking water. Drinking water crisis is going to be great crisis ahead, friends. Though there is so much of water around, but it is not drinkable. Who is responsible for this? Animals, birds, no. Interestingly, animals and bats cannot go against nature. That you should note. Animals, birds, reptiles, plants, they follow the ways of nature. You have jackfruit, you have water lemon, only in winter. You have mango, only in winter. Anything which is conducive or supportive of your health is look at the nature. It is only human beings alone who can go against the ways of nature. This is precisely the cause, friends. Here comes ethics. I will tell you what ethics is, how ethics come. Is ethics something to be spoken about, to be discussed in the forums, or it is to be lived? What is that ethics? What is that ethical dimension, economic dimension to understand? Dr. Prati nicely, very intelligently hinted at it. There's no time to elaborate on this part, but he hinted at it. What is ethics? Can you do without ethics? Can you ignore ethics? What happens if you ignore ethics? We'll discuss. Now, man thought that everything is for him. The man-centered view guided his developmental programs because he thought be it urbanization, be it industrialization, everything is for the good of man. This, you can call it, this is a sixth psychology, uncalled for, mindset. Man thought that everything is for him, therefore he went on to exploit everyone. Mindless exploitation of flora and fauna, pollution of river, oceans, denudation of forest, leading to now what happened? What is the fallout of the anthropocentric attitude? The water pollution of water, pollution of air, desecration of earth, erosion of soil, warming of the planet, cycle of seasons have been disturbed, and melting of the polar ice. Because of that, in another 30 years, the coastal areas, all the habitation coastal will get submerged. Man is too tiny. One super cyclone is not a big event in the cosmos. The universe is so vast and man is so tiny. Earth is so small. So for the wind to blow in 500 km speed is not a big event in the cosmos. But it spells disaster for man. All the houses, the electric poles, they have not been customized to withstand the speed of, wind speed of 500 kilometers. This time that instead of having arrogance that everything is for him and he has scaled heights of science and technology, man should also realize how tiny he is, how dependent he is on the rest of nature. If you don't do that, there will be greater pandemic waiting, greater tsunamis. Why they come? They are nature's feedback. Nature's response to man's follies. Keep it in mind. You have to take definite lessons from this. That is why I said it is a wake-up call for humanity. You have to pause and think, where have you gone wrong? We have intercontinental ballistic missiles. We have laser-guided bombs. What a small virus. Despite the medical science at disposal, all of knowledge of medical science, of technology, medical technology, how come that for last 3 years, the whole humanity is on its knees? Is it not a mockery of human intelligence? Does it not speak eloquently about man's error or follies or mistakes or blunder he has done in relation to the nature? I told you that animals, birds, and they non-humans, they cannot go against nature. They have to live with nature. It is man and man alone who, because of which a developed mind, can go against the laws of nature. And if you go against the law of nature, then the nature has its own way of correction. That is true of everything. If you don't obey the rules of health, you fall sick time and again. If you don't take lessons from it, then what happens? You fall sick again and again. It is said that human history repeats because humanity refuses to learn from it. There will be several pandemics, several super cyclones, several tsunamis, and warming of the planet, and in the future, the destiny of man is at stake. And who is responsible? Man is responsible. Man is responsible. So, another thing. Now, the crisis which our ancestors encountered is from outer nature. Continuous rain, wildfire, flood, ferocious animals. But the crisis today, now we are trying to look at the crisis. The crisis today is due to my mind. It is from within. Threat is from within. So man has turned out to be his own enemy. Friends, if you give a knife to a madman or to a child, the child may kill itself, cut his own. If you give it to a madman, he will go on a killing spree. So it is not enough that you give a knife. One must have the expertise to handle the knife. It is not enough that you have science and technology, but you must have right wisdom, right sense of direction and purpose to use it for your betterment. Because the science is a mere power. Technology is a mere power. The same fire, the same flame which gives you delicious food can also burn the person who cooks if you are careless. The same flame or fire in a oven which helps you to prepare delicious food can also burn you if you do not know how to operate with it. That you must remember. So man has found, medicines or antidotes against great diseases. But man claims that is the height of science and technology, but unfortunately, he has not learned how to live with this technology. That is here comes ethics. It is not enough that you have a knife, but you must have a direction or a purpose. What are you going to do with the knife? Are you going to murder people? Are you going to process vegetables? Are you going to sharpen or wet a piece of wood? What are you going to do with it? If you have technology for nuclear power, you must be clear what for you are going to do. Are you going to produce nuclear bombs to destroy civilizations? Or you can use the nuclear power to provide light or illumination to every village. Choice is yours. Nothing wrong with technology, because it is said that technology is rich in mechanisms and poor in purposes. It tells us how to heal and how to kill, but it never tells us when to heal and when to kill, whether to heal. Purpose is absent in science. It is a mere power. Where from we get to have a sense of purpose? From ethics. Ethics gives you right and wrong. Ethics is science. It tells you what is to be done, what is not to be done, what is your goal. Very unfortunately, all our developmental programs and strategies have been man-centered. Man-centered. Man has conveniently or painfully oblivious of the existence of non-humans. That is this plight. He went on doing everything for himself at the expense of others. Now the result is, now nature, you get the nature feedback. Even a small virus can threaten the existence of the whole humanity. Suppose in China, people say that it is a part of biological warfare. What a kind of, does it not testify to great intelligence? That instead of killing people, instead of involving bloodshed, you release this and people get killed without the horrors of bloodshed and death and all that. Does it not speak of the excellence of human mind? Power of human mind, not excellence of human mind. But the point is, where have we gone wrong? How could a particular nation, if it is true, we do not know, how could a particular... Now, what about chemical warfare, friends? Chemical warfare. If you want to defeat someone, have a chemical weapon so that people get disease, people get sick, they fall. You do not know actually how you are going to, you are subject to slow death. This is all due to misuse of human mind. Mind is a double-edged sword. When man behaves like an animal, man becomes more dangerous than an animal. When man gets the mind, developed mind, he stands at a crossroad. If he uses it properly, he goes towards divinity, nobility. He becomes a benefactor for the rest of humanity. If he misuses or abuses it, then he stoops lower than animals. Because animals, man is more ferocious than animals. Because what animals do in a natural way, man does in an intelligent way. There is a backing of intelligence. Animals kill in retail, but human beings will kill wholesale. Spray the bullet, put a bomb. What happened long back in Hiroshima and Nagasaki? Wholesale death. This is misuse, gross misuse of human intelligence and therefore human technology. The same technology which can prove to be a boon for human civilization turns out to be a bane if you do not know how, if you lack a sense of purpose. And ethics is all about, ethics instills a sense of purpose or goal, and once you have a sense of purpose or goal, then you have a sense of direction. Without a direction, it is not possible to work, possible to move. So the development hitherto or till today has been without a definite sense of purpose. What a mockery of human intelligence. What a mockery of ethics. A country is known to be great or greater depending on the richness of the arsenal, the weapons that we have, nuclear weapons that we have. Now, what we discussed that India has 146 nuclear bombs, whereas China has 150. Is it something to count it? For quite some time, a particular community thought that he is our hero because he has beheaded so many people. Headhunting. So, can we say that someone is great or greater because of his capacity to kill or destroy? Now, without knowing this, these things have come to our discourse. Without knowing what are doing, we are human beings. Human beings who have to extend their love and protective love of creation. Because the only way to live well, to live healthy, and to live better is to take care of others. So mind is when you have mind, then you stand at the crossroads. You can go towards animalistic ways and towards the way of nobility and the way of devil. Choice is yours. In Christianity, is said, if they believe in heaven and hell, they say that the same key which opens the gates of hell also opens the gates of heaven. The same key. By abusing or misusing the mind, you can follow devilish way or you can follow the divine way. Choice is yours. The key is with you. That means here, the human mind, which is responsible for science and technology, the human mind needs to be also regulated. It is not enough that you have power, you are empowered by science and technology, but you have also to ascertain what for the technology. This is one. Now, suppose you have science and technology, should it be used to promote the interest of man and man alone, human species? Now, as I told you, that this has an illicit fallout in form of pollution of water and air and so on, warming of the globe. So man began to realize of late that no, if we are to exist, we must extend recognition to plants and animals, because if the plants are not there, where from do we get oxygen? Oxygen has a survival value the ornaments don't have. You can go without ornaments, but you cannot go without oxygen, pure oxygen. Why is it that the rich people in the metropolitan cities have farmhouses? Once in a while they drop in, go escape to the farmhouse to get fresh air. The fresh air has become a rarity. Now in some countries, you have to pay money to breathe in fresh air. What a paradox. We have lived with nature in such a manner that the pure air is a rarity, a rare commodity. The pure water is a rare commodity. 50 years back, we could not think that water will be sold in bottles. There are many more things which are waiting for us. Could we think 2 years back that a child or an old man will have a mask? Unrecognizable, apparently. What do you do with a mask? You inhale your own air, no? You breathe in and breathe out within that. What a repercussion? What a repercussion. If you touch somebody, if you live with somebody who is corona positive, then you are subject to quarantine. It's mind-boggling. What is that? How did it origin? How does it affect? Lakhs of people die every day, thousands of people die every day. And in those countries where the healthcare facility is superb, Italy, for example, US, for example, despite the technological know-how and progress, they are threatened more by this coronavirus, invisible to the naked eye. It is because what is it then? Somewhere we have lost the balance, harmony. Why? Because man did not care for the rest of the creation. He thought that he is the end and everything is a means. There was a belated realization that no, for that animals and birds, it's called biocentrism, all life is sacred. That's not enough. You must also ensure that the river flows unhindered and the ocean remains unpolluted if you want to live a healthy life on this planet. Because those are the things which balance the ecology. You need to have a clean river and a clean ocean and required forest cover. We have ignored the interest of the non-humans because we are blinded by selfish interest. It's a very strange phenomenon. When I become, friends, too very selfish, I fail to understand what I'm repeating it. Please think of it. A man who is extremely selfish, never cared for when he's out of home for some time, he's haunted by fear that no one will come to rescue of my family. So a person who is really selfish should be selfless, should take care of others, so others take care of him. So in man's own interest, man should have given due credence and due respect, extend his love for the plants and animals. Why? Because we are part of a whole. Nature is, now this becomes clear when I give the example of a symphony, orchestra, a melody. Friends, in a melody, there are big instruments which are audible to the naked ears. But there are also very small instruments which are not audible, directly audible, because their sound is drowned or eclipsed by the bigger ones. But if you stop that small sound, Uncle Bell, for example, Uncle Bell, then it makes a difference to the cadence of the orchestra. Because however small a note may be, it does contribute to the aesthetic release of the total orchestra. It is a symphony. So the cosmos is a symphony, wherein a blade of grass does contribute to the equilibrium of the totality, of which we are integral parts. What is its implication? Since it is an organic whole, if there is any harm to any part, it will have its impact dent on the rest of the because it's a one body. Now the ecologists are saying that if you trade on an ant without reason, it creates a disturbance in the ecology. The life of an ant is as important as the life of an elephant. An atom is as important as a galaxy. A small plant, a tiny plant, is as important as a banyan tree which spreads across acres of land. Everything has its place. This is something which we need to get educated. This is core ethics, existential value. Existential value, that means everything has a right to exist, even the germs, the worms have a right to exist because their very existence contributes somewhere or the other to the total harmony. So if you live at the cost of them, then the total harmony is disturbed. Who pays the price? Human beings more. Human beings depend more on the non-humans than they on us. So we ignore a thing because it doesn't have a utility value for us. Suppose you have solar cooker, does it entitle you not to plant a tree? Or you are cooking, your purpose of cooking is addressed, but what about the oxygen which they continue to give to sustain you, to nourish you? So everything, a thing may not have its utility value for you, but it has its existential value. And human mind, man must be wise enough, at least by paying the price for his mistakes and follies, man should understand to respect the existence and of everything. Nothing is unimportant, nothing is redundant. Friends, in the state of nature, everything has its own place. Just as there is no plant which doesn't have a medicinal value, we may not know it. Even a snake's venom is required to make some life-saving drugs. So everything in the state of nature has its own contribution, has its own value. We can't ignore it. We can't ignore it. If we ignore it, we pay a price for it. What is the price? Could be the cycle of seasons are disturbed. Could be that there is warming of the globe. Could be that a small virus appears and threatens the entire globe. Where have we gone wrong? If coronavirus is purposely released to keep everyone on these knees, rest of the creation, to perpetuate hegemony of a particular country, why does it think so? Because it thinks that I am different from the others, the sense of alienation, the sense of split within, that we as people of a particular country are different from others. So the ethics gives you the right perception of things, ends and means, and thereby it tells you what is right and what is wrong. If you simply operate without any sense of right and wrong, could be that you are all the while following the way of wrong, thinking that it is right. When man is blinded by selfishness, he mistakes the wrong to be right. As a result, the wrongs multiply. And the time comes when it is the own existence is in question. That is what it has taken place today. So the real good of man, the future of man can be ensured only when man respects the whole. And he, being the most intelligent, should play the role of a protagonist, a steward. Others cannot have a duty. Animals and plants don't have a duty for human beings. But human beings, having been more developed, they have duty for the rest of the creation. Just as an able-bodied or able man in a family has a responsibility for those who are otherwise incapacitated. So, man being the most developed creature bears the onus or responsibility of extending his love and protective love and nurture to the rest of the creation. I'll just conclude in 5 minutes. Now, what is the basis of it? Why should I love a plant? Why should I live with nature, not against nature? Because my well-being lies in living in consonance with nature. Why? What is that nature? You see, nature overrides everything. In Upanishads, they call it Rita, cosmic order. It is because of the cosmic order that wind flows and river flows, and things produce their own kind. A guava gives guava, mango gives mango. A bitch gives rise to an uptake, gives birth to puppies, not human being. Like begets like. The myriads of heavenly bodies there in the respective places, their orbits there. It's a wonderful cosmos where everything has its own place. Now in nature we find this uniformity because of the underlying order called Rita, cosmic order. And the same cosmic order in case of human beings takes the form of law of karma. If you do good, you are rewarded. If you do bad, you are punished. So the karmic uniformity in the human domain and the natural uniformities in the natural domain, there are two different expressions of the underlying cosmic order. What is that? When you speak according to that cosmic order, you are on the path of Satya, truth. When you act according to that order, you are on the path of Dharma. So Satya and Dharma, you read Upanishad, Satya and Dharma are expressions of the underlying order. When you speak in a manner so that the cosmic order is promoted, you are devoted to Satya, truth. It will protect you. When you transact your life or model your life or live your life according to the nature's law, respecting everything tiny or big, you are treading the path of Dharma. It is said, Dharma rakshati rakshita. Anyone who protects nature will be protected by nature. Anyone who tries to disturb nature will be punished by nature. The tsunamis, the tornadoes, the super cyclones, friends, and this global pandemic are nothing but nature's response to man's deviant ways. Nature has its own way of correcting an erroneous act on the part of. So these are the nature's way of correcting us, so that we give up our follies and the wisdom descends on us and we understand what is right and what is wrong. So, to conclude, since man is a part of the problem, crisis, the solution lies in man. In understanding things in the right perspective, in locating himself in the cosmic canvas, trying to understand what he should and what shouldn't do. Once that wisdom prevails, I think man will start correcting, his errors. Man will cease to be heretic and follow the righteous way. And when he follows the righteous way, when he follows the way of nature, that is Rita, then he will be protected by it. Thank you. Thank you. Was I audible? I think.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay, now I don't know what program you have, whether there are question answers or whatever. I'm prepared for everything, so you can ask questions. I do not know what is your schedule in this webinar.
Sir,
Only this. I was trying to tell you that you see, we cannot even sit together. What is that webinar? Something will become relevant in case of we cannot see eye to eye, sit together. That is the thread. Now they say that virtual class. I see somehow a small mind, I think. What is that virtual class? Can virtual class replace the real class when the teachers are there? No, never. Because when a teacher is there in flesh and blood, he is there, he becomes an example for other children. They not only learn lessons, but they also learn values interacting from person to person. So anyway, this is a virtual seminar, and now tell me what I have to do further.
Sir, there are only 3 questions in our chat.
Okay.
3 questions.
Okay.
Sir, the first one is there any universal ethical standard? Sir, please see the chat.
Okay, I don't know. I'm not very computer savvy, but I'm answering this. You see,
universal ethical standard, or is ethics changes place to
no. Let me first answer. Is there any universal standard of ethics? Yes. Friends, you must remember the distinction between the values or ethical norms which are significant or meaningful in a particular context or a particular society. Okay. So they vary from context to context, society to society. Example, suppose husband marrying only one wife, monogamy, not, norm, one wife norm, this social norm. This is an ethical norm in a society where the ratio of boys and girls are almost equal. If the ratio of the way you are going to have female, feticide, if the ratio of boys and girls tilts in favor of the boys are more and girls are less and less, maybe one girl has to polyandry, one girl has to marry more, that becomes a social norm. Or in a society where the girls far outnumber the boys, one person has to marry more than one wife, otherwise many girls will remain unmarried, polygamy. So monogamy, polygamy or monoandry, polyandry, what is the ethical norm will depend on the constitution of the society. In this sense, values change are relative. Suppose there is a guest, what you give? You give tea, welcome drink. You go to Haryana, those places, they give you water. Whether you treat a guest with water or tea is irrelevant. What is important is that you treat a guest, Atithi Devo Bhava. This is a fundamental value. How you treat your guest, they talk about guest-host relations, which there in Shakespeare also, in Macbeth murdered King Duncan in that drama. So the guest-host relationship, this is a fundamental value which figures in different scriptures, different dramas. But how you treat your guest, that you treat your guest is a fundamental value, but how you treat your guest depends on the context. In this sense, there is a distinction between fundamental value or universal values and relative values, customary values. Customary values are context specific, time space specific, but the cardinal values are eternal or universal. If you ignore the cardinal values, then society will crumble like a house of cards. And what is more important is your customary values get their meaning from the cardinal values. Your customary values, now I'll give an example. Now suppose there is a temple. Every temple has a manual. Now the manual says, now there is a priest who not only does worship, but is also the security. In the night he stays there. Now the manual says that no non-Hindus are allowed to the temple. And who is the custodian? The priest is the custodian because he is the one. So he has to go by temple manual, isn't it? One night, in a winter night, there is a Muslim beggar, unclothed, bare body, shivering in cold, biting cold, asks for shelter, whether he should give it or not. Yes, he should give. Why? Because the cardinal value is a human being is suffering. The religious customs are, the customs will differ from Hinduism to Islam and to Christianity. They are community bound, sect bound, people bound. But the cardinal value that here is a human being is going to die of cold. Even if I lose my job as a priest, I must allow him entry to the temple. It means cardinal values are overriding, they are fundamental, they are cardinal, they are foundational, unchanging, universal, but our customary value change, relative. And when there is a conflict between two, the cardinal values should be given precedence. Number two. The customary values get their meaning from the fundamental values. I am giving tea to my guest because my ethics is Atithi Devo Bhava. And somebody gave a fellow to Ramchandra. It's extolled high. From customary point of view, it's a primitive action. You test something, then give it to guest. It is a violation of Atithi Devo Bhava. When somebody saw Ram, You're so overwhelmed that she was testing the fruit and giving it to him. Customary value says it is bad. But cardinal value said it is good because she is driven by a higher value that by mistake Sri Ram should not take something sour or bitter. What is important is not what you do, but with what intention. So the cardinal values like love, fellowship, mutuality, sacrifice, these are there in every religion, every society. If you take away these cardinal values, then society will crumble. So it is the values, fundamental values, which sustain a society. Because we have ignored, as Dr. Pati said, was hinting at, because we have ignored these fundamental values, we are into this plight. Where this is a paradox. Man, the creator of science and technology, is being threatened by science and technology. The same virus, which could be replicated or which could be reproduced in the laboratory, now threatens the whole human being. So, man has come to a state where he is going to be victim of what he has created. This is a paradox. Why? Because he ignored the fundamental values of live and let live. Next.
Sir, another question. What panacea ethics can provide to the horrors of migration across the country? We saw in the immediate past with the inception of lockdown.
But again, can you repeat?
Sir, with the inception of lockdown, when in the migrations from other countries, the migrations from other states, now in the lockdown period, what we call the Pravasi Odia, Pravasi Gujarati, those who are coming, what panacea ethics can provide to the horrors of migration across the country? We saw in the immediate past.
You see, ethics is something which gives you an outline what to do and what not to do. If you have, because I know, because we have some people who came from Murshidabad, about 20 people who went there to that place, but they could not get food, they could not get the livelihood. They had to come because they were engaged in construction work. So all those, it is not only ODIs, but it is true of every state. So people migrate what? In search of money, in search of livelihood. Now, if the livelihood is not available here, then government should provide them livelihood as they are they're planning. Otherwise, they'll be forced to go to those places from where they earn money and support their family. Why did they go? Does anyone want to leave his family just like this? No. Everyone wants to be at home. Why did they leave the family under duress, under compulsion? Now, again, the same factor under compulsion, they come back. Now there is a compulsion, they must support the family. Suppose there is an artisan who has an expertise, but he doesn't have a job here suiting to his expertise. What does he do? He goes without food, goes without support. What about his family? He was there and he was sending money, the family was being supported. So again, the contrary migration will take place if government does not take care of them. Unless suitable livelihood facilities are available. Now it has taken place, I must tell you, at Angul and Sundargarh, we have some construction work. All the Murshidabad workers, masons were there. Now, as soon as the pandemic was there in place, they were so restless. Some of them walked 50 kilometers, hired, and they went without thinking what is going to happen. After 1.5 months, all their money was exhausted. Now, again, they have come back. Again, they have come back. That is one way, cross, migration. Or, if you want to prevent it, if you want that ODIs should be there, work in Odisha only, then government should have some programs. So, for rehabilitating or for providing job according to their expertise. What is the next?
Sir, another question is that, is it possible to hold the ethics when the survival is at stake?
Yes.
Is it possible to hold the ethics when the survival is at stake?
The survival is at stake because you ignore ethics. It is just the other way. Your survival is at stake because you ignored, you thought everyone is my enemy. The whole world, even if India, USA and Japan Japan and others, they rally against China. In case there is a world war, in case the nuclear power is, comes to play, then it will get havoc. If I burn the house of my neighbor who is adjacent, then I also suffer. So we are living in such a world that if you want to live, you must let others live. The choice is two exclusive options. Either we live together or we die together. You cannot live at the cost of others because the power to kill is so enormous. If I kill my neighbor, I also get killed. I cannot keep myself immune to the effect of horrors of world war once the nuclear powers are in play. So the choice is either we have to. This is where the ethics comes. Either we have to, through education, through political, maneuvers, or through religious indoctrination, we have to infuse the values of live and let live, telling people, making them realize that if you want to live, I must explain my love to the others. So herein ethics comes. We have come to such a state because we have ignored ethics. Ethics is not something do's and do nots. Ethics tells you this is right and this is wrong. If you do the wrong, to do right or wrong is your choice. If you do wrong, you pay price for it. That's it. Okay.
The last question.
Yes.
Whether our realization that this pandemic is the result of our over-exploitation of nature is in bracket. So the question is whether our realization at present will stay for long or will vanish away, like Smasana Vairagya. Sir, another question. Sir. Sir. Is it mute? Sir. Sir, perhaps any problem in your laptop, sir? Yes. Sir, unmute. Sir, unmute, please. In the left corner. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Tell me.
Audible, sir. Sir, again, I repeat the question. Whether our realization at present will stay for long or will vanish away.
You see, intelligent people learn once. Those who are indifferent and callous, they ignore things and they suffer again and again. That is why I told you, history repeats because people refuse to learn from it.
ಟವಲ್ ತರಬೇಡ ಇನ್ನು ಒಣಗ್ಲಿ.
Sir, am I audible? Sir?
You are audible, yes. Is there any other question?
हेलो हेलो
Yes.
मुझे सुन पा रहे हैं सर आप?
Yes, I am hearing you. Dr. Singh.
जी 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 सर, if you don't mind, can you speak in Hindi?
Yes, you speak in Hindi. I will answer in English.
Okay, sir. I am Dr. Bhopinder Singh from UP, Uttar Pradesh.
I see it on the screen. Please, Dr. Singh.
Sir, जी. My question is कि इतने सारे इंस्टीट्यूशन हैं, इतने सारे बाबा हैं, फिर भी मोरल वैल्यूज बच्चे के डाउन होते जा रहे हैं, वैल्यूज डाउन होते जा रहे हैं, ह्यूमन इथिक्स बिल्कुल धरती में लगते जा रहे हैं, बिल्कुल जमीनी हकीकत कुछ और है, कागज की हकीकत कुछ और है. तो व्हाट इज द रीजन बिहाइंड ऑफ डाउनफॉल ऑफ वैल्यूज?
Okay. Now, Dr. Singh, just imagine a society where there are no gurus, there are no saints, there is no epic, and there is no foundational text, religious text. What would be the nature of the human society? You have instead words. This is number one. Number two, just imagine that there is no one to guide you. There is no text. Neither Bible nor this Ramayana, Mahabharata, nor Puranas, nor Bhagavad Gita, nor nothing is there. People are driven by their own instincts. There is no sense of goal. What would have been the nature of the society? Now these things have evolved in a natural way. The values evolve. Now, for example, when man was living alone in the forest, there is no need of values. He has his own time to sleep and no time to play. But when the family was there, the values became a necessity. So values are not created. Values grow because of necessity. Suppose in the hostel, many students stay. One wants to sing, the other wants to play. That is why there is a norm. There is a time to play, time to sing, time to read. So when you live in a corporate body, the values evolve. It is not that the tribal people don't have values. They have values. Because if values are not there, then there will be complete conflict and chaos. So you cannot deny the role of the great souls and gurus. Now you have to admit that despite the gurus, despite the text, despite the religions, despite the ethics, this is the state of affairs. Because, third answer, because suppose you have a disease and you have medicine, but you don't take it. You have the medicine, but you don't take it. So will you be cured?
Human touch was a very great
Dr. Singh, if the values are not implemented, because in the school we don't teach, we teach only give them skill, give them knowledge, we never teach values.
Okay.
So we have as a result, we have a doctor who steals kidney. A doctor who steals kidney is a very skilled doctor.
Okay.
But he has not been given the proper values either by parents or parenting or in the school. So this same skilled doctor has turned out to be a part of the kidney racket. So it is the values which give a sense of direction. If you do not, now this is a time has come when people, because of the pandemic, people are becoming self-conscious.
Yeah.
So you see, I'll answer your question one sentence.
Yeah, sir. I am
a person who is sick is more conscious of health than a person who is healthy.
Okay.
When you fall sick, you remember the rules of health more because you are suffering for it by flouting it. So by flouting ethics, we are paying price for it. A girl of 7 years is not safe in the family. What a great degree of civilization. A woman cannot walk fearlessly in the night. What a
Okay.
A 12-year-old man is raped by 7 people and buried. Is it civilization? That is science and technology, but the human values are because we never teach our child what is right and what is wrong. We give quiz culture. We give them skill, give them knowledge. But knowledge and skill, they bring empowerment.
Yeah.
We do not tell you how to use your power. For that, we need ethics.
Yeah. Sir, human touch is very great.
Hello, sir.
In theoretical and practical knowledge.
Hello, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Yes.
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Please continue.
Sir, I'm Dr. Pradeep Taranjan Patnaik from the Department of Sociology.
Okay.
Sir, I just wanted to know that don't you think that this such catastrophic realities like this pandemic is the result of the utilitarian thinking that the greatest happiness of the greatest numbers?
Sir,
You're not audible, sir.
Please unmute yourself, sir.
Sir, please unmute.
Oh, sorry, I don't know why. Now see,
I just wanted to know that whether this is the result of the utilitarian ideology.
Yes, I could hear you. Yes, I'm answering your question.
Yes.
You see, you are absolutely right.
You are muted once again, sir. You are muted once again.
No, I am not muting it. Automatically taking place. You see, who is an utilitarian? You have the answer with yourself. It is a utilitarian attitude that man had in relation to the nature. Man did everything for his to promote his own utility. He exploited the flora and fauna. Similarly, in the society, in a family, if a member thinks of his only own interest, then the harmony in the family is disturbed. Similarly, in the community, if some people think in terms of their utility, the communal life is disturbed. So now the question is, man as such is obsessed with, for example, China or India or US, they are thinking in terms of the utility of their own nation. But a time has come when we should think of the good and well-being of one and all, because the only way to move is to extend our, empathetic, attitude or love for the others. Utilitarian means what? Whether it is for the individual or for the group or for a community or for a nation. As such, it contains a sense of division, alienation. In Hegelian term, it is alienation. I am different from you. Now, for example, if you suppose you have a person has a shop. He sells adulterated oil. He sells it to other customers. Will he sell it to his son? Give it to his son, adulterated oil. Knows that it is bad. It is unhealthy. He will not do it because seeing that he is different. He is different. Suppose your son gets 85% and your neighbor's son also get 85%. Are you also equally happy that the neighbor's son, which is not so good, somehow is secured? You are intolerant because he is not your son, he is somebody else's son. So this sense of division, alienation, sense of I and thou, the dichotomy between I and thou, that is at the root of all troubles. So we have to have an ethics where the I and thou and they, we are part of, our interests are, are harmonized and synthesized. When I understand that by living for the other, I live for myself. So the slogan is, those who live for others really live. It is like this, he who lives for the other really lives. So man can really live for himself only when he learns how to live for others. If he tries to live at the cost of others, this is the predicament.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sir, am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Sir, thank you for your valuable speech. I, on behalf of Salehpur Autonomous College and also from the Department of Philosophy, extend a very happy vote of thanks to you, sir, for your...
I must, Manisha, you are my student. So you see, then if you express your gratitude, how do I express my gratitude to the principal and you for choosing me to come there? So if you are grateful, I am more grateful to the college. And moreover, Salehpur is very dear to me, heart. Several times I have gone there to talk to colleagues. I feel at home when I go to Salehpur College because there you find that you feel the love and warmth of people, your colleagues, even your office staff. They are so good. So I really, I should say that I am more privileged and honored and grateful to the principal and to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Namaskar, Dr. Prati.
Sir, namaskar. Thank you.
I have seen you before. I have seen you before. Actually, I saw you. You are holding some. Now you are a principal. Okay.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all participants. बंद कर दो सत्या पूरा ये कर दो बंद कर दो
Hello, sir.
एंड सेशन कर दिया एंड मीटिंग फॉर ऑल
Sir, actually, I give vote of thanks to all the participants who spent so much time with us and give his and bear with us. There is some technical problem with us, but you are adjusting with us. Therefore, I, on behalf of the college and Department of Philosophy, I give you the vote of thanks to all. I also give my vote of thanks to our principal sir, without whose support and guidance we cannot organize such a national event. I also extend my thanks to all my colleagues who encouraged me and also helped me to organize dinner in such a big platform. Thank you all. And a common announcement, the feedback call will be shared in WhatsApp group and the college and also in the national Assam group. I will start
certificate को जो
and these certificates will be brought to our participants within 7 days. Thank you all to making it a success. And this is the first day of our institution. So thank you all the participants. And at last, your sir is not in platform, but I also you are my direct teacher. I also very much thankful to participate.